To the Planning Authority Committee meeting. I want to begin by apologies. The Lord Mayor, Anna Reynolds, Deputy Lord Mayor, Dr. Zelinda Sherlock, and Alderman Councillor Louis Bloomfield for apologies. Acknowledgements of country in recognition of the long history and profound culture of the First Nations people. I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land upon which the city of Hobart was built. I also note and respect the struggles and resilience of the Palawa people of Tasmania, who survived invasion and dispossession. Our First Nations people who continue to strengthen their identity, their culture, and their rights. I pay respect to their artwork in this chamber, and also pay my respects to the past and present elders, and also add that any First Nations people who are listening to this meeting or connected or are present here, I want to welcome you and respect you. Thank you. Number 2, confirmation of minutes. Someone would like to move. Thank you, Councillor. All in favour? Aye. Councillor Lundberg. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Number 3, consideration of supplementary items, there being none. Number 4, indications of pecuniary and conflict of interest. No, thank you. Transfer of agenda items. No. Number 6, pending authority items considered of items with deputation. We have 7.1.1. Number 7, committee under the committee acting as planning authority. I once again want to remind each one of us, elected members, that under Rule 25 of the local government meeting procedures, we are now acting as planning authority. Yeah, sure. Someone can move, please, that we accept the deputation. Those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, 7.1.1. We have a deputation for this one here, and we have the representative Kevin Arkless. Please come over. As I explained to you, you have 5 minutes. And then when it's about 30 seconds left, I will let you know. And if you can't hear me, please put your hand up. Yeah, just let me know, or the others, when they ask you questions, just say you can't hear. So please sit down.
I live opposite the Bowls Club, and previously I've taken to the tribunal and had the tribunal found in favour, and they would not allow it to be used as a meeting centre. The Bowls Club have taken no notice of the regulations imposed by the tribunal, and they don't take any notice of the council, even though it's rented to them on a peppercorn rent. They're now trying to turn it into a public money-making concern by renting it out as a venue for parties. It's advertised on the computer for party use, and they've got no parking. They take no respect to the neighbours, and the doof music. The building is very old, and the doof music comes from out of the building into my bedroom, and it's just thump, thump, thump. I've complained to the council on numerous occasions. The last occasion was they've now put community centre, Bowls Club and community centre on their advertising. They're also advertising political advertising on their site, which shouldn't be allowed by the council. and I think the council should refuse the application to upgrade it to a venue, you know, parties and stuff like that, because they can't control the noise. And I own 2 properties opposite, and just, you know, just somewhere along the line, it's got, you know, 2005 it was refused by the tribe. You guys passed it, and it was refused by the tribunal. And now the only thing the tribunal, you can't go to the tribunal anymore yourself. You got to go to the tribunal. It costs 15 to 20 grand. And I think the council should look at it. It's been by your investigators. They got it down for refusal. I think it should be refused, and they should have to remove the signs and take their advertising off the computer. You can ask me any questions you like.
Mr. Arkless, thank you so much. You can sit down. Take a seat. Take a seat.
I do have a question.
Thank you very much. And we will now ask you questions, and you can respond. And if you can't hear, please let us know.
Ask me any questions you like.
Councillor Harvey.
So you're suggesting the venue is currently used. You're suggesting that the venue is currently used as an entertainment or, you know, party facility? Well,
it's, you mean, what happens, they have parties there, and the noise just comes straight out of there and over to my house. You can't, you know, the boom, boom, boom noise. You mean, it's, you mean, you guys rent it to them on a peppercorn. They're not paying any rent much for it.
So how often does that occur? In your experience, how often does that occur?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
How often does that occur? How often do you hear parties across the road?
You mean, it's just, you know, in 2005, there were, you know, two or three. See, once they get approval, they'll have them all the time. If you look on your computer, they've got it down for parties.
Currently, how often do you hear parties across the road?
Well, only now and again. But the trouble is they've got no parking. So what happens, you know?
Yep. Okay.
And it's not a commercial. It's a residential area, not a commercial venture.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I had one, Chair, just for you. Just with regards to the political signage that you say is on the site, what is that?
Pardon?
You talked about inappropriate signs on the site. What are they?
Well, the inappropriate signs, I'm not a Liberal Party voter. They've got Liberal Party photos and signs on there. They've also got down as a Hobart City Bowls Club and entertainment centre and visitor centre. Well, it's not you mean, the visitor centre part of it was condemned by the tribunal in 2005. And there's the decision. Yet they take no notice.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? No questions? Okay. Thank you so much. You can go back and sit down. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harkins. And now we have the applicant, Jeff Hutchinson. Thank you, Jeff. Please sit down. You have 5 minutes, and when it's about 30 seconds, I'll let you know. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me today. I'm currently the Vice President of the North Hobart Bowls and Community Centre. We're not a function centre, we're a community centre. That's as we name at the present time, since about 2020. So I'll answer questions later, but I'll read out what I've put together and just see how we go. North Hobart Bowls Club and Community Centre, formerly Daunt City Bowls Club, was started in 1920, 104 years ago. The main purpose of the club is our bowls during the summer. We have lawn/synthetic, Wednesday men's pennant, Thursday's a ladies pennant team, and Saturday 2 teams, currently Div 3 and Div 7, playing in the mixed gender pennant competition. And we have carpet bowls almost 12 months of the year, broken down as follows. With the ladies' pennant competition played on a Thursday afternoon during the winter months, and of an evening, a winter and also a summer roster competition that we compete in with each other clubs around Greater Hobart area. Not forgetting our soup and sandwich days, which are held on the last Sunday of the month during the off-season outdoor pennant, so that's during the winter. As a community centre, we also cater for the community in general for all to enjoy the game of bowls. Current groups that we've provided for are Parkside, these are people with disability. RecLink are people from different backgrounds, AA, that's Alcoholics Anonymous, group homes, New Australians interacting with others, and others just needing an outing for social interaction. Also school groups, examples, Sacred Heart, Friends, St Mary's, Elizabeth College. Sacred Heart, we're going to elaborate on that. We'll have them then there this Friday. We'll have 240 students come through. 4 lots of 60, starting from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And of course many works, families, other sporting groups that wish to have a bowl and some time out with each other. The reason for the request to part change to our function rooms are that we capable to do more for the community. Because of at the moment we're unable to support those who require a room for, say, club meetings, dance classes and a birthday get-together. Till we were informed mid last year that we're in breach of our lease agreement, this was going back nearly 16 months ago, that all functions that are bowls related only were, which we were informed, we ceased all bowls non-related. That we had the following groups at the time: Rock and Rollers Dance Group, which were Wednesday nights, come in every week. Probus Group every month. These groups have had to go elsewhere to hold their functions. They've just had to walk away and they've struggled to find spaces to go to, but unfortunately we'll lose them. Currently our lease agreement allows us to have 12 member related functions, and to date this calendar year we have had a big morning tea held by a club member, Melbourne Cup luncheon which had members from other clubs attend, and a choir group hold their AGM under the Bowls Club member associated with both groups. So as you can see, we don't have a great amount of functions that are non-bowls related by our members. And to be realistic, other than other sporting groups having presentation nights, we're unlikely to have more than a handful of birthday or wedding functions in a calendar year. Finally, just to finish off, just let you all know that in regards to how we operate with bowls groups, and these restrictions will happen with non-bowls related functions, is that we only take on groups that we have enough volunteers to run them. For example, on a Friday afternoon, 12 to midday to 5 o'clock, we may have 3 groups of 20 to 30 requests a bowls function. We would only take 2 of them on. This is so that we can manage them properly, so we have a maximum of 60 people here at one time, and on the 2 greens we can spread them out and they can then not make as much noise. The club also has a policy that we do not hold birthday functions for 18 and 21-year-olds because of their age and the possibility of gate crashes, etc. Lastly, the club is a non-profit organisation. We need these bowls and non-bowls functions to survive because the cost of running a club is getting greater. And as a quick example, for our insurance for the building, which we don't own, it has doubled from approximately $6,000 2023 to 24 to $12,000 this financial year. So 24-25, it's doubled. The club is completely run by a handful of volunteers and does not have any paid staff. I thank you for your time.
Hutchinson, thank you for your presentation. Any questions? Councillor Passant.
Thank you, Chair. A very simple question. What's the heating and cooling in the function area? Is there any?
It's air conditioning.
Heat pump or
Heat pumps, yeah, on top of the roof. Yes.
And they can cool as well as heat?
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Any other question, Councillor Kitsos?
No, you're right.
Question. Look, I just was was pleased to hear about all the community work that the organisation is doing and hosting at the Bowls Club. It sounded to me like the vast majority of that is occurring as bowling activities during normal operating hours. Is that a pretty fair assumption to me?
Sorry, I didn't know.
That's okay. Look, the question's just about, it sounds like the most amount of community work that you're doing is during working hours.
Yes, that's correct.
And associated with bowling activity.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, yes. Yeah, because from when we were notified, well, I've only been at the Bowls Club for 4 years, this is my 4th year, so from around June last year when we were notified that we're in breach of our lease regarding bowls and non-bowls functions, we ceased to have non-bowls functions. So at an evening, the worst will be is a indoor mat, they play on indoor mats, but majority of our functions are now during the day between the hours of say 10 and 6 or daylight, so it'll be probably 10 and 8 now. Yeah.
Councillor Luberger.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try and ask the question in a way that everyone can hear. I'm just interested in the hours that you're sort of seeking to be open. If we were to clip those back a little bit, with the community in mind, would that seriously affect your viability?
No, it wouldn't. If anything, it'd be more attractive to probably people, because I spoke to Deanne Lang about this earlier, and I'd suggested maybe even if we're finishing at 9 o'clock, because I think it was on the paperwork for 11, if we're finishing at a reasonable hour, it'd be probably more beneficial for the volunteers, because we'd be able to get away, and at the moment, I mean, I'm bowling 3 days a week, so it'd be nice to have a break before we bowl. So definitely we'd be forward in regards to new hours regarding non-bowls related functions.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. You can go back.
About the parking. Sorry. Can I make a comment about the parking?
You want to make a comment?
Regards to the parking, we had a traffic management surveyor have a look at our parking, and he's found that we've got sufficient parking in the streets around the bowling club.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can go back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take your seat. Thanks very much. Now, someone like to move the recommendation?
Look, Chair, I'm thinking that there's got to be a settlement we can come up with here, through you to the Director. Is there I'm loath to reject it without having a go at trying to come up with a solution that might satisfy the neighbours. Is it worth having another look at this with a mediator to see whether or not there's only 2 representations, whether we can, through you, Chair, whether we can actually defer this for a little while and see if we can get a resolution which would make it easier. Is it the deputations? Did they have an impact on the refusal, or the planning scheme is the reason for refusal? And could we adjust it to fit the planning scheme?
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of questions there. Is it the planning scheme? Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. But clearly we're required by law to consider the grounds of representation. Yep. So which we have done. We have alluded to some conditions of approval that we think would suitably satisfy the planning scheme. It's a question of whether it would satisfy the representors or not. And as you've alluded to, previous practice has been we've deferred the matter to engage with some of those representors to see if we can find an outcome. I'm just trying to establish when does this expire?
8 December.
8th of December. Okay, so, and next planning committee meeting?
On the 4th.
On the 4th. So we certainly have time to defer, to have that conversation with the representors, and then bring that back to council, to committee on the 4th.
Would you like to move that?
Well, unless anyone's got anything they want to discuss before we remove it, defer it. So I'll hold on to the deferral.
Thank you. Councillor Kister.
Question, please, through you, Chair, to the Director. The report in front of us references a case from Derwent City Bowls Club in 2004 that had a similar case for extension to hold functions within the Bowls Club. Can you talk to that precedent and how that might affect the decision to refuse tonight?
Maybe Ms Turner might be able to speak to that, or Michael.
I can speak very generally
That's
because
fine.
I haven't reviewed this application.
That's okay.
But it would have been under the previous planning scheme, is my understanding. If it was, what was the year? Yeah, so it was under the previous planning scheme. There is no precedent in planning law. Each application has to be determined on its own merits, but it was a completely different planning regime.
Any other questions, comments? Yes, Councillor Lohberger.
I just wanted to quickly just echo what Councillor Harvey said, and the nature of my question indicated that I think I'm looking for a compromise here, so I'd be happy for a deferral after everyone's spoken.
Soft.
Yeah, thank you. I did note in the report that there was an alternative for approval if we were to turn over the refusal tonight with specific hours listed. Now, first pass on this for me was that the increased usage of a community space, particularly one owned by council, to serve more than one purpose should be welcomed, that it's within 2 kilometres of a capital city, and that it's in a recreation precinct alongside a sizeable football club and a hotel that holds weddings. And I didn't really think that refusal of a community service based on noise complaints in the context of being next door to North Hobart Football Club really passed the community sentiment test, recognising that North Hobart is an inner city suburb of a capital city. When I looked at the proposed times in the alternative option, the officers have said they think meets the planning scheme discretion were we to approve, I thought that's a bit more restricted than I think the community would be up for. It's more restricted than I think was. If I had the sole say on this, I felt that it was more restrictive than necessary. However, in light of the representatives and the discussion around the table tonight to try and find a compromise, given that some elected members around the table hold the view that the proposal that's put forward by officers themselves are overly restrictive, but they do provide the opportunity for the Bowls Club to operate, and they think that that's a pretty reasonable proposition. I would suggest that Council or the Planning Authority take the decision today to adopt the alternative approval times rather than putting the two parties through mediation, which could be both stressful and result in further conflict between parties and may not yield a result, and we'll come back with exactly the same item in a couple of weeks' time. So I would encourage Planning Authority members to consider whether or not they just want to take the decision and go with the officer's request, which I think is still restrictive, but is probably a happy medium and where mediation would get to anyway.
Alderman Zuko.
Do we have a planning scheme, or do we don't have a planning scheme? Through you to the Director.
We have a plan scheme.
Okay. So we have a planning scheme. The planning scheme is very specific. I'm happy to support Councillor Harvey's proposal to possibly find a solution between mediation, because irrespective of what might happen tonight, whether we approve it or not approve it, there's a potential that it's going to go to the planning tribunal. So to alleviate that cost to this council and the cost and time and the stress to the proponents and the residents, it might be an opportunity to try and find a common ground. Failure of that, I cannot, unfortunately, and I support sporting organisations and always have, there's a reality. You've got to read through the actual aspects of why the Bowls Club is there. The Bowls Club is there to provide a service. The service is bowls. if they're conducting bowls, they can continue and do what they're doing. Unfortunately, outside of that, they can't do what they're doing. So it really enlightens me as to why the government, and there are people pushing for planning to be taken away from elected members and councils, because we've got a planning scheme. So I'm happy to support an opportunity for the parties to come together under mediation. I think that's the best way to try and solve it before it's either approved or not approved, if the parties can come together. If they can't, well, then it comes back to this council or this committee or whatever it is to make a decision. I'll say this to you now, unfortunately, sadly, and I really feel sorry for the Bowls Club, I'd have to vote again. I'd have to vote for the office of recommendation. So are we a planning authority, or do we want to sit here and act as if we know everything about planning? We don't. So I'll support Councillor Harvey's potential. If not, I'll be voting against the proposal.
I'll move for deferral, Chair.
You will move. Okay.
Deferral, so that try and get the council officers get the parties together to try and find the solution.
Try and get a resolution through mediation.
Okay. So that's, it's not the formal mediation as we think of going to the, it's just
Well, it's
the
a preliminary.
It's negotiation between the parties.
Thank you very much. Okay. Do you want discussion on that?
No, you can't discuss.
Procedural. I put that motion. My apologies. Those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? No. Okay. Hands up, please, for those in favour.
Alderman Zuko, Councillor Kitsos, Councillor Loberger, Councillor Harvey, Councillor Carson.
Those against?
Councillor Purcell. Motion's carried.
Motion's carried. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your presence here with us and your presentation. Thank you. Right, we'll move on to the next item, 7.1.2. This has been withdrawn, so I need a motion from the floor. Move. Okay, someone move. Thank you. Moved. All in favour? Those against? Thank you. 8.1 planning advertising reports.
Move it be noted.
Move be noted. All in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously.
Can I ask a couple of questions about that?
Do you have any questions? Okay, oh, sorry. My apologies.
I just wanted to ask about the Bell Street work that's advertised.
Yes.
Just have a little break for a second, I think.
Through you, Chair. I believe that was regarding a proposed men's shed on the adjacent to the hockey grounds, but within that complex.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a community shed, I think, is the
correct.
the correct terminology.
Any other questions?
I did have one about St John's Avenue as well. I noticed there's a soil scrape being advertised, which I assume is the archaeological investigation that we understood was going to happen on that site. I just wondered when that work might commence, if we've got any idea.
Through you, Chair. I understand that's relating to some conditions of the previous approval. I believe they want to get those with them quickly, but I don't have an exact time frame as to when that's coming.
Thank you. I've got a number of questions. I'm not sure whether these next two are from the next report or not, though, but I might as well just lump them all together. Just 82A Burnett Street is changing use. Is that the St Vincent's Industries building in North Hobart, just behind Room for a Painting?
Yeah, we'll just check that.
Okay. Item 33.
33. Okay, thank you.
And the final one was just 327 Argyle Street. I just wondered, item 40, they're asking to extend operating hours. Have you got any information about that, about what that's actually about?
And that one was number
Item 40, I think.
Sorry?
Item 40.
Item 40. Yep, okay.
I think that's it. Oh, that might not be it actually. Hang on. Wrong one. Can't find it. They're extensive reports this week. I'm sorry, Chair.
Sorry, in relation to the Burnett Street one, you're correct. It's the property behind the behind Room for a Pony.
And 327 Argyle Street, so it was item 43, I just noticed. Just an extension to operating hours, and it's just listed as a refusal, which I found a bit odd. Committee refusal.
I can assist.
Yep. Yep.
Related to the vision of the planning scheme and how we as officers should be interpreted to what it's proposed for review.
Is it, just through you, Chair, is that going to come to us at some stage?
You can't shut the door.
It's not open. It's not open. Please enter on the door. I'm sorry, I can't concentrate. I've just got shouting coming down. Sure, yeah, I'll come over. I'll come over. I just can't deal with
John's chair.
My understanding is it will obviously depend on whether or not they give us the appropriate time to get it to committee, but my understanding was from discussions with the discussions I'm aware of is that they did want it to come to committee for committee to determine that application, but it will depend on timing, especially with the Christmas period.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? No, so I put that. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Carried unanimously. 8.2, delegated decision report.
Moved.
Yeah, moved. Questions? No, I put that. All in favour? Aye. Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Responses to questions without notice. 9.1 moved and 9.2. Can we take it together?
Moved.
Okay, moved. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Questions without notice. Any questions?
No.